welcome to the show. No. Okay. Hi, I'm Olivia Ortiz. This is Anthony Ortiz and Rob Burr from Propaganjah. This is The Journey Couch Sessions Podcast, Episode 8.
All right, well, Rob, welcome.
Thank you.
First off, we want to start by asking you, where are you from?
So I am originally from Long Island, New York. That's where I was born. Yeah, of course. I'm a typical transplant.
No. I got family from there. What part?
So I was born in Bethpage Hospital in Oyster Bay. So that's Nassau County, I believe. Mm-hmm. And grew up in a little town called Lindenhurst. And yeah,
that's where his family is from. Okay.
So you might be one of my cousins, probably.
Yeah.
Are you Sicilian?
No.
Okay.
But
you
I
pass
can,
for
yeah.
Sicilian.
Yeah.
You can pass for Sicilian. But yeah, so my family's Sicilian on that side, and my mom used her powers to get my father to move up there from from St. Croix in the Virgin Islands.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, so she moved down there when she was, I think, maybe 15 or something like that. And then met my dad a few years later, and they got married, had my sister down in St. Croix. So I have Caribbean roots down there, and thus the reggae music and everything. So, but we moved down from Long Island, New York when I was 5 years old. So I grew up here in Ocala and went to Fessenden Elementary School, North Marion Middle, North Marion High.
Yeah.
And that's like the gauntlet of Deep South.
Yeah.
Like that's like as deep as it gets. So it was cool growing up with that kind of different culture, having that Sicilian side, and then my dad's side is Afro-Caribbean, Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So it was a cool mix growing up because we had all this culture and then Southern culture. And that was like the biggest contrast for us because growing up I was like, man, I don't know about this country music.
Yeah.
This don't sound right to me. But that was when I was young. I got used to it. And when I was older, I started, all right, some of this is pretty cool, Zach Brown band and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think growing up here and being from not Ocala, but from Long Island, it seems to be the new journey everybody makes, is that New York to Ocala. And I wonder if they're experiencing that same shift from when I grew up there in the early 90s.
Yeah. When did you start getting into music and writing music and all of that? So maybe go into a little bit about that.
Yeah. Writing music was like, first I'll get into the first kind of music that I listened to. So growing up, our first music that I can remember is actually Calypso music.
Okay.
Calypso music is, and this is folk Calypso. So there's like bands called Merry Men. The Merry Men are out of Barbados, and they played a lot of folky music, but Caribbean folk. And it was interesting, and it was hard to explain to my friends. So the second music that I grew up on was Soca. And that was like Mighty Sparrow and a bunch of these bands that had a lot of rhythmic touches on them, and then reggae music. So reggae music was always thrown in that. So all of our parties were reggae, calypso, and soca, and that really kind of fundamentally rooted me in rhythm. From the time I was a little kid, I just remember all the parties being that kind of music, and that was it. And then I would ride in cars with my mom, and Motown was my thing. She loved the 1960s and 70s. Temptations, Smokey Robinson, every band you can think of from the 60s. Stevie Wonder was my hero growing up. Like Stevie Wonder was who I wanted to be.
Right.
But I was partially deaf growing up, so I was until I was 7, I was partially deaf, and I had to have a bunch of surgeries. I just had a lot of infections, and then finally down here they were like, I think he needs to get everything removed, and then the tubes need to be put in.
Snap.
So I had to get a surgery where it removes tonsils, adenoids, and then same time they had to put the tubes in. And so once that happened, I was able to kind of mimic people's voices. It was weird. And vibrations, I can actually kind of feel when I'm in key. It's weird. It's like a vibration. I can feel when it's reverberating badly or not in key. So I guess that kind of helped too. And so I ended up mimicking Stevie Wonder and stuff growing up. And then, of course, I grew up on that classic rock and all that because that gets thrown into your life.
Sure,
but
yeah.
I remember my first album, though,
Okay.
is my first outside of reggae album I ever got was when I was 6 or 7 years old. And it was Green Day, Dookie.
Yes.
Yes. I told my mom at like 6 years old, Mom, I want that album, that Green Day album. Sure enough, she got it for
Right.
me.
That's awesome.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
probably not for kids, but
No, it's definitely
but the
not.
'90s were a fun time,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
could keep our shit about us, you know. so it was really cool growing up with all those influences. But I would say really Motown and all those rhythmic stuff from back in the day, that really influenced me to write music and stuff. And then as far as writing lyrics to music, I would say Tupac was my number one influence. And as I showed y'all earlier, I got a
I was gonna
tattoo
say,
of
that's
Tupac
probably
on
why
my
you
leg.
got- yeah.
And then Bob Marley's right next to him.
Yeah.
And those are my two greatest inspirations because I always fought off the fact that Bob Marley was he was always a deep-rooted first reggae that I listened to besides Steel Pulse. And Steel Pulse being my favorite reggae band of all time. Awesomely rhythmic band that has some of the best keys that you'll ever hear on reggae music and stuff, and best guitars. So I really loved them. And so I guess their mixture, and they're from the UK, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're from Jamaica, but they are not. But they are of Caribbean roots too. They're Jamaican heritage.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. It's just the locale that you grow up in isn't definitively what you'll end up playing.
Man, no doubt.
You know?
Yeah,
You know?
so Livy and I are really big about like marinating our kids in love.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds like you had a great childhood being marinated in music.
Oh, yeah.
So when did that transition happen? Where did you go from like listening to it, loving it, enjoying it, and saying, you know what, I think I can do this, or I'm going to write a song?
Well, when I was 12, I sang for people for the first time.
Okay.
And I had just kind of been hiding about it, real shy. And I was singing Boys to Men, End of the Road.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we had like some talent show. We
this
were
at
just
school?
talking. No. This is one of those DIY at home.
Oh.
Was it at
One
your
of those.
household?
Oh yes.
Oh,
Oh
my
yes.
God.
One of those situations.
That's awesome.
So I'm bringing those memories back.
Heck yeah.
So we were all sitting there bored. I think our parents were on. They were on something. They were on went to a conference or something. So we had the house to ourselves, and my sisters were like had some friends over, and they're like, "Hey, why don't we do like a talent contest, or we come up with our own things and things that nobody knew about each other."
Yeah.
Okay. And I already knew what I was gonna do finally, and I was scared. I was like, I'm pretty sure I can sing, but I don't know if I'm just good at mimicking voices or I can sing. But then I thought about it and I said, if it's in key, then you could probably sing. So, and I always projected too. So that was another thing. So I sang for them, and from there, their reaction made me go, okay, I can do this. I can sing in front of people.
Yeah.
Because if their reaction is that, and it's genuine, and I saw it in their faces, they're like, wait, what? Hold on. Go sing for them. And they kept bringing it. I was like, all right, cool. So a few years later, I started writing music because I got my first guitar. And I remember requesting my guitar for Christmas, and my parents being shocked, and they were like, so you really want a guitar, like, for Christmas? Okay, all right, well. And I overheard them talking one day, and they're like, he wants a guitar. Like, why does he want a guitar? I don't know. He says that he sings, and he's tired of people wanting him to be in the band. Because this is the worst time for singers. And I'll tell you why. In '05 was the strongest thing going was emo.
You say it like
You say
it's a
05?
bad thing. No, it was way before 05.
Well, this is when I was 16. So it was,
Okay.
it was like
Okay.
04, 05.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And everybody was wanting me to be in their band to sing, you know, those beach alternative
Yeah.
emo. I'm talking like
Yeah.
Yellow Card emo.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so everybody wanted me to sing in their band, but I didn't know how to play guitar.
Yeah.
So they would end up playing all these shitty songs I didn't want to sing.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, man, let's play a Senses Fail song. And I'm like, oh, man, this is lame, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to go up on stage crying like that.
Yeah.
And,
Dad rock.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was like just sad.
It is dad rock.
Yeah, it's, you know. So I was like, I don't want to do this. And I experienced a really douchebag guitarist. And that's common in the world, by the way. It's common. Most guitarists are douchebags.
Awesome.
But
Don't-
that comes from me. I'm
don't
letting y'all
tell-
know this.
Don't
Okay.
tell my guitarist that.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty decent guys, actually.
No, they know what I'm saying. If they're
Yeah.
decent guys, they
Yeah,
know what
they
I'm
are,
saying
they are.
because they're saying the same thing.
Yeah, they're probably like,
"Oh,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
fair.
There's a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of douches. But so I didn't want to deal with douchebag guitarists ever
Yeah.
again. So my goal was, you know what? I'm going to teach myself how to play guitar so I don't have to depend on anybody to create my own music. And that's what I did. I locked myself in the room. And when I say cold turkey, like woke up, I got that for Christmas, unwrapped it, sat in my room for about 12 hours a day for the next 2 years.
Wow.
And I was just sitting there playing and playing and playing. I just wanted my rhythm to catch up to my vocals so I could at least go out and play and perform or at least record it. And then it took a ton of years later, and when I was 27, to finally
Wow.
pursue something by creating a band.
Very
So,
cool. So you
So you-
started playing guitar at 16,
Yep.
and then 27's when what was your first band?
First band was Propaganjah.
No kidding.
Yep, that's
Wow.
it. That's it.
That is awesome.
Yep.
So you guys have been together since what year? What year was that?
That was, so when we say us guys, it's just me. I'm the only original, but I'm the creator of the band and stuff, and I write all the music. And I've wrote with people along the way, a couple of songs, but so I'm the only OG in the band left. But I've been doing it since 2017 or 16 or something. Yeah, 16. It's 7 years now. It's going
Okay.
on 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it with your new guys that you're playing with right now? Or?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So my new guys are gonna be. This will be 2 years that I've been in the band.
Cool.
Yeah, all awesome dudes and stuff. And I've always considered Propaganjah to be a collective of what I feel is right with the music, and so, you know, it was never a fixed thing. It was more of an idea. So as long as I'm around to see the idea go through, and you know, because it's all about the culture that I grew up on and everything, and I like to write music that inspires people, not senseless music. You know, and there's a lot of senseless music out there these days, and I know it invokes feelings, so it's not all senseless, but but I feel some music is not necessary lyrically, or, you know, I think a lot of it's just over replicated, and it just doesn't fit into my mold. And so I like to write things that are inspirational. And I mean, I've written some songs that are funny and stuff like that. I got a song on the last album that was just a funny story that I'd written, and now I'm like, oh man, that's about the only one that I wrote like that. But you know, I want to write inspirational stuff, so that's really where I'm at with it.
Okay. So the songwriting process sounds like, so you founded the band, and it's a collection of your ideas. So are you the main songwriter? Are you the only songwriter for the for the group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what does that process look like? Do you usually start with lyrics, or do you start with like a melody or an idea, or how does your songwriting process usually start?
So I usually try to come up with something on my guitar, and that usually lays down to where I can freestyle over it. So I'll just come up with like a rhythmic thing and see what key I want to play out of first. What do I want to sing out of? Sometimes I'll have a melody in my head, But I'll be honest, my favorite thing to do is come up with the rhythmic pattern and the key and what chords I'm going to be using before I start just throwing shit at the wall, you know?
Sure.
Because it's better for completing a song quicker. But at the same time, I'd rather let a song marinate and me hum it for weeks on end in my head, which I've done. And I'll just go, if that don't stick in my head, it ain't meant to stick in my head. And I'll bail on the song. Or I might revisit the song.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how I do it. But my biggest thing is I try not to replicate things, because replication upsets me, you know? And in the reggae world, like, for instance, a lot of any genre can say this of itself. Things can get repetitive real quickly. And with reggae music, it can get very repetitive. So when I'm writing a song, I try to not listen to a lot of reggae that may be close to what I'm doing. So I might listen to something else that inspires me, like 80s yacht rock or something.
Love it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I love 80s yacht rock. That's what I listen to when I'm doing the engineering work.
Okay,
you know?
okay. I have so many questions about this. Define yacht rock now. You brought it up.
Christopher Cross.
Okay.
I would even say you could put George Michael in some of that stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yacht rock.
Yeah, Wham, definitely.
There's a lot of playlists out there.
There's
Yacht
Michael
rock?
McDonald.
Yeah, definitely.
Even some of Zach Brown's stuff.
Yacht rock.
I love Zach Brown band. They're awesome. But yacht rock, I just think is like kind of that laid back kind of REO Speedwagon kind of. Yeah. It's nice and chill and relaxing. It's got atmosphere
So
to
we have
it.
dad rock now, and we have yacht rock.
Yeah, yacht rock.
Yeah,
is
yacht
our
rock's
jam.
awesome. All right, so what? I hate to do this. I know bands hate.
Go ahead.
Bands hate to get a category.
No,
but
we have to fall into something.
Yeah. So if somebody has never heard your music before,
Yeah.
and you were explaining it to them, like you just met them, like, hey, I'm in a band. How would you explain your sound, your feel, all of that?
As of today, I would say that I finally got a really good way to describe that.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So, Caribbean soul.
Okay.
So Caribbean soul reggae, I guess you could say. And we do throw in a splash of like metal style solos and everything. So I'm a metal style guitarist. My other guitarist is metal style. We go back and forth. We rip it like crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
So, and he's 17 years old.
That's great.
Yeah, he's one of those kids that you're like, man, I had to study all this time and you're already caught up to me, man. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
But all you can do is support and go, man, this kid's going to be awesome. So I get excited. When he's ripping a solo, I'm like, oh, yes, this kid is awesome. I'm glad he's in my band. So
How
it
did
is
you find
pretty
him? Is he still in high school?
cool. So he's homeschooled and everything.
Okay.
And he's an awesome kid. And he's just like my nephew, you know?
Yeah.
And his dad, Judah, and his wife, we used to work together at R&L. And she was like, hey, my husband, he plays reggae music and everything. And I heard that you're a reggae musician. I was like, yeah, my family's from the Virgin Islands, you know? I'm not trying to play sublime reggae here, you know? And she's like, oh, awesome. Well, you should go jam with him. So I go and jam with him. First time I meet him, I'm like, this guy is awesome. You know, he just, his energy, when you meet Judah, you'll understand. He's got an amazing energy about him. His whole family does. And so meet him, we immediately click. From first rhythm, we were in sync. I swear to you, he just dropped. Bap. I understood, he understood. And then a couple years later, we were jamming together and stuff again. And then we got reconnected just recently. And recently, a couple years ago. And he was like, hey, man, let's do this. So I said, you know what? I want you to be a part of this. I feel like you're the right energy we need. And it's always been that way. Since the first time. He was actually the first drummer I interviewed for the job.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, but at the time there were some stipulations that couldn't happen. So, but now it works and it's awesome. So So Judah and Yashar are an awesome addition to the team recently in the last couple of years.
Is it father and son?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep, father and son. And
okay, cool.
yeah, we all like peas and carrots in that band.
That's great. I'm looking forward to meeting all the rest of the band members.
Me too.
All right, so Olivia, when Olivia handles she is our talent agent, she is our event coordinator, she wears all the hats, right? So Olivia, when you were looking at the list of bands in the area that you were wanting to get in touch with, what was it about Propaganjah that made you say, hey, reach out to these guys and see if they'd be willing to do it?
I've seen you guys a couple times. I knew you had a change up of like lineup
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And like
Where'd you see him at?
the Lodge, actually. I saw you play at the Lodge. It was a long time ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think that was probably the first, maybe the second time I've seen you guys play before.
Yeah.
A friend of mine introduced me. They're like, oh yeah, you should go see Propaganjah. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, the name already is quite
We'll
revealing.
be touching on that
Do they play
soon.
reggae? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, and I love freaking reggae.
Oh, yeah.
It's in my soul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, all right. But that was probably the second time I saw you guys. And then I just kind of like put you guys on the list, like, interesting band to watch. Like, it's on the little burner, like, we should just see what they're doing.
That's awesome.
So this year, when I knew that Dave was going to be moved up on the list, I was like, I need either a hardcore metal band or something totally opposite, like a real chill, like reggae band. And I was like, freaking Propaganjah.
Yeah, so it's a reggae, it's a soul reggae band that plays metal riffs.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's
so you nailed it.
great.
You nailed both of them.
I mean, he's a metal worker, so I wanted it to be very like tongue in cheek, but also awesome. It's gonna work so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And I was telling you, I was gonna touch up on the Propaganjah thing. So Propaganjah, as it is, to describe our music, because I realized I kind of veered off on the journey. So Caribbean soul with the splash of that metal in there. And what's funny about us is, and this is no lie, this is a fact. Our music is THC infused, meaning literally every note that we put down live or on a track, we are under the influence of cannabis.
Okay.
So instead of it just being because I'm very spiritual, and I've always felt like cannabis connected us to the earth, and it connects you with whatever you believe. And it makes you more spiritual, and it can calm your soul. So our music is cannabis infused rather than talking about cannabis. So that was another thing with our name being Propaganjah and everything. It's more about cannabis infused music, because propaganda being the root, and then we replaced it with Jah, and then made it, recognizable, of course, to a reggae crowd. But it was more about the promotion of Propaganjah, or ganja, rather, in a positive light. Because I always remember the stigma of people smoking weed. It was like, this guy's a loser, he's a bum, he's not smart. And I was like, I want to break these molds. And that was from the time I was a kid. I always wanted to break that mold. So that was another thing that was cool about creating Propaganjah, was being able to be the person that kind of normalized it. And like here in Ocala especially, was normalizing cannabis culture and not demonizing it.
And so every song that we listen to, any single one of your songs, we're gonna say, okay, this was inspired. By
absolutely.
How did you say it?
Infused
It's
THC
infused with some THC.
Yep, it is, because I will not even write music if I'm not stoned.
Yeah.
Because it's just gonna be strange, I guess. Because it's kind of my zen,
process.
my meditation. It's part of my process. So it's pretty interesting.
Do you find that taking cannabis, like, it focuses your mental and musical energy, or do you find that it like sparks imagination?
Oh,
does it hone it in, or does it spark it? Like,
It really depends on the strain at that point. It really depends on the strain, because there have been times where I can smoke something and I even document, like, oh, I need to remember this strain because this made me write this crazy riff that I would have never written just thinking, And so I guess it sparks, and then if you've got that spark already lit up, you can just finish whatever you started. And that's how it worked for me, or that's how it is in my process. I know some people process cannabis a lot differently. Like, there's some people that I played with on stage, and I walked off stage with them and I said, hey, by the way, you're never smoking weed again. Because they couldn't handle their shit.
Right.
But most people, that's like a prerequisite. If you're going to be playing with me on stage, you have to be able to keep your shit together.
Let's go back a little bit to the music process. When how many albums do you have out right now?
Right now we have 2. We have a 5 and a 10 song full length album.
Okay.
So the last one that we released was about 3.5, 4 years ago, which has my anxiety through the roof, because I have like 10 more songs written that I've just never had the time or what I felt was right to be able to record them. But we do have some new singles. One's going to be finished on Saturday.
Cool.
Actually, 2 may be finished on Saturday.
There was one you just released recently,
Yes,
right?
Keep Your Head Up was a couple months ago. We're doing a remastered version of that one that will be finished Saturday as well. And also Gray Skies, which I wrote like 2 years ago. That one is going to be coming out soon.
Where are you recording these at?
So we do all of our recording over in Resolve Records in Trenton, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's our keyboardist studio.
Cool.
And Joey Wheaton, and he has us out there, and we do all of our tracking there. And then we go up to Stan Martell, AVP, up in Kingsland, Georgia, and we do the mastering and the mixing that we want to do in there. And it's just me and Stan in there, and we just go through, and I'm like, hey, this is what we should do here, this is what we do here. And he's like, yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Or he suggests something to me, and we just bounce ideas back and forth. But I have my guys all record here, or as local as we can, and then we do all the finishing stuff in Kingsland, Georgia, because I'm a firm believer that talent supersedes everything else.
Yeah.
And we can record anywhere, and we'll make it sound good.
Yeah.
We'll try to.
So if somebody wants to support you, the band, what's the best way to do that?
I would say come to our shows, go to propaganjah.com. I always have my Google Calendar is set up like to the second. So if I had something right now, y'all are going to know what it is. So I've got some things and some dates up there that might intrigue some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially locally.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't even know Propaganjah.com is like a thing. Now I'm going to go on there.
Yeah. Propaganjah.com is a pretty awesome website, and we got a ton of merch. When I say anything you can think of, and some cool-ass styles.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
Take a look at this reimagining version of Olivia's shirt here.
Okay, so
That's awesome.
I may have cut it so it has.
No, that's awesome. That's how it should be.
So, Olivia, where did you find that shirt, first off? Because that's a great story.
My son and I were thrifting like this summer, and we happened to be in the Villages. I got this in the freaking Villages, dude.
No way.
Yes. Somebody in the Villages, like, yeah.
That is awesome.
I was like looking through the t-shirts, and I was like, because I was looking for old band shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoop, and I was like, no
Like, what are the
freaking
chances?
way.
That is sick. That is awesome.
So my son was like, Mom, who even is that? I was like, this is my friend's band. I was like, right now.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Yeah, that's where I got it.
That
and
is
I was
amazing.
Like, I'm gonna cut it up. It's too big for me. It's not my size.
Oh yeah, no, you got it rocked now. That's what a lot of my friends did that back in the day. They're like, you got a t-shirt, I'll just cut it up.
Yeah.
That's
I've
awesome.
done one actually from MCA too. I had like an extra large, and I don't know, I just cut up patterns and stuff on it.
Hell yeah.
So I've looked at your schedule. A lot of it's South Florida. Do you play a lot of South Florida venues, and how far do you guys go as far as shows?
So what I like to do is I'm a firm believer in not staying stagnant in a place. You know?
Yeah.
And I've always said, why don't we attack all of the smaller cities around the big cities? I'll tell you why. Smaller cities around big cities are going to be more loyal. They're going to be more of those people that you actually enjoy being around. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that everyone in the city is an a-hole, but anyways. But people that live in densely populated cities hate each other. It's a fact. For some reason. Yeah, we watched this show. There's a show I want y'all to watch called How To with John Wilson. Okay. It's on HBO Max. Wow. He does New York, and he makes that place look horrendous.
Yeah.
And it's great, though, because it's just a look of what people that are densely populated living on top of each other, what their attitudes are towards each other. Damn. So I said, you know what? Around these big cities, there's got to be some cool people living in some outskirts of the cities. Sure enough, there are. So St. Pete, I would love to play there regularly, but they're a little overpopulated with bands and stuff down there. So we'll play there every once in a while. But we hit these cities called like Safety Harbor, Palm Harbor, beautiful cities, great vibes.
Love both those places. And I saw you on. That's awesome that you have that idea, because that is so cool. Yeah. And those really are those cool towns. Have you played in Dunedin yet?
Oh, that is the one that eludes me. Yeah. I want to play at Dunedin Brewery. Yeah. So and I talked to them at one point, and then I think we were just out of budget at the time. I was like, damn it. And that's usually the situation, because we got 6 guys and a sound guy. Yeah. And I try to make it work with some of these places around the coast and stuff, because that's where the crowds are. Every time we play for the last couple of years has been slam packed at all these places, because we play the surrounding areas. So I've learned Punta Gorda is an awesome place, and it's not your biggest city, because there's Fort Myers right up the road. But in Fort Myers, totally different vibe. Right. Totally different vibe. Not really my scene. So we go and play Vero Beach on the other coast. Our vibe's all the way. Small town outside of all the bigger spots. And it's because the people that live in those towns around there, they're going to be naturally more laid back, because they're not around the hustle and bustle. So I guess I kind of took a psychological approach to it.
No, it's an awesome idea. It really is.
Crystal River, people are like, y'all are like the only reggae band that plays in Crystal River. I'm like, I know.
And Crystal River is awesome.
I love Crystal River.
Yeah.
It's like one of the most down to earth, and they have an awesome stoner community. It is really great. But you want to know what's amazing about all these spots that I'm naming? All of them break the mold of what the stoner is, and that's why I chose these places.
Very cool.
So these are like family-oriented places. So our shows that we play, there's not people fighting. There's not drunkards everywhere. So I won't even play certain venues that are known for having excessive drinking. There are certain local establishments that we will never play again, because I feel like people don't monitor anything anymore. Ever since COVID, it seems like they just let things run rampant. And I'm like, nah, that ain't the atmosphere for us. So now we just pick and choose where we play, and it just so happens that Southwest Florida and the Gulf Coast, and we play Cocoa Beach, Melbourne, Palm Bay area, and we play like Fort Lauderdale and up. But there's just certain areas like Jacksonville, Miami, Tampa. They're just, it doesn't feel right there. Man. Like you can feel this tense energy. It's weird. It's strange. I know. But, and I like to be blunt and honest about it, because I want people to hear it and realize it and hopefully react, and it creates a chain reaction. That's why I'm so honest about my feelings about most things. I hope people change.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a really smart move. You know, I mean, music and business are always a really hard mix. I think a lot of time artists and musicians kind of struggle with that idea that I'm making something, I'm creating something, but it's also something that's got to make me some money and feed all the guys and pay everybody to go out there and do it. But the idea of like selecting your locations based on those criteria is a really, really smart business move. So,
and it makes everybody happy too.
Yeah.
It starts at the people. And when I say the people, like, we're playing a Steenhatchee 7-band jam.
We just left Steenhatchee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there we go. We're playing a Steenhatchee 7-band jam on October 6th, I believe. Yeah. At
Is it the double-decker place over?
yes.
What's the name of it?
Right now I'm losing my mind. It eludes me.
Store upstairs. We were just in it.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Look it up. What is it?
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Let me pull up my calendar.
Oh, doggers. Come on. It's like, what is the name of that place? Oh. It's like 2 words.
Fiddler's Resort.
Dude, they had,
The Fiddlers.
Fiddlers. Yep.
Fiddler's Resort.
So Fiddlers. Yes. So
Why'd
y'all were
you
just
say
here?
it like that?
I don't know. It just came out. I don't know.
Yeah, they had a great stage. It's a wide open place. The boats are amazing right there. Yeah, we were just there.
That is Fiddler's Resort. So we're playing the 7-band jam there. Yeah, with that big stage there. Mm-hmm. We'll be playing it that Friday night on October 6th.
Nice.
And the reason that we like to play like there, for instance, is because people over there might not ever get the opportunity to see a full reggae band like us go out and jam out for them.
Bet they freaking love it.
And they love it.
Yeah.
And it's the coolest thing because it's something different.
Oh man!
You know,
Imagine if when we went there, it was a No, it was just one guy. It was just a single guy playing guitar, and I think a lot of venues have that. It's an easy. I think it's an easy book, right? So it's probably not as expensive, and it's an easy book.
That's exactly what
and they
it is.
can
It'll
come
do
out. They
well.
can do music for a couple hours, but to commit to a band your size is really good for venues to do. Yeah.
We're like a 5-piece.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's a big commitment.
Oh, it totally is.
And
It totally is.
My thing, and I don't know if this is how you feel, but like, we are professional musicians. We have put in our 10,000
Oh yeah.
hours.
Oh yeah.
I'm no longer going to be playing for $50 and driving and spending $75 in gas.
No.
And,
No.
And it's just enjoyable.
And it's a different experience.
Yeah.
Like I love live music. I love it in all shapes and forms.
Yeah, same.
But when you have a band together and that band has a connection, and the sound is different, the feel is different. I think most musicians should kind of be striving for that next level. It's almost like that venue ladder thing where you're a great guitarist, but now it's time to start playing with people. It's time to start building it. But yeah, that's to have 6 is a really.
It's tough at times,
Yeah.
you know, to have 6 people, but at the same time, musically, it's not. Like for me, musically. Oh, the more the merrier for me. Like I love. If I played with a collection of people, I love jams and stuff. So I gotta make a jam one night. I'm just my schedule's chaos.
Come to the Fam Jam if you guys
Yeah.
are open one of the nights.
Yeah, because I'm an improv guy, and that's another thing about the band is we started all the way out in Salt Springs.
Okay.
It's so far away.
It is.
Well,
It's a-
I say
it's
all
a
the way
run.
out in Salt Springs, meaning where the banjos are playing. and so
Did you start at Cactus Jack's?
well, close enough. So right around the corner from there was a place called Salty's. And
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a little backdoor stage, and our friends Paul Green and Tammy Green, they were like, "Hey, you know what, Rob? You need to get your band out there. You need to get your band out there, man." And we were just a trio,
Yeah.
you know, a little acoustic trio. And I was like, "Man, you think they'll go for that kind of music out there?" He goes, "Bro, they'll go for anything that you play." And I was like, "For real?" And he goes, "Man, come on out there." So he has us go out there, and this guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, what kind of music y'all play?" Right before I even start. And I was like, "Well, we play reggae music, man." And he goes, "Reggae, what's that?" And I said, "You know, like Bob Marley." This is like 8 years ago. And he goes, I don't really listen to that. And I said, how about this? You can unplug my microphone if we suck. And I walked away, and he shook on it. He came up, he stared at me, and he goes like this, and he goes, you guys are awesome.
Nice.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And after that night, I said, if we can get the people out here that grew up listening to country and old folk country and Americana and all that, and bluegrass, we can get people to anywhere in the world to like what we do. So that was pretty much that. And that was when the inception of infiltrating small towns started, actually.
Love that.
And I said, if it worked here, it probably works everywhere.
Yeah.
And the people from small towns will always drive to the big city
Right.
when you get the big city show at the venue that you finally get the offer from. Instead of, I guess we'll play that shit venue there that's got the dilapidated door and they're charging a $5 cover and we're
Right, 'cause
barely
that's
gonna
where
make
everybody else is
$100
playing.
bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's where everybody else is playing.
Yeah.
That's what I used to hate. In the reggae world, that happened from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I happen to look the way I do. They assumed we were going to be playing Sublime style reggae. So let's go ahead and put them on with all these Sublime style bands. And it was like, oh man, this ain't what I wanted to do. So we were playing real shitty venues that you're supposed to play as a reggae band. And they weren't even the venues. There were no Caribbean people showing up to these venues. It was just like a punk rock scene. And I'm like, they ain't gonna like our music.
Yeah.
Like, why are we catering to these people? And that was when a few years ago I was like, I ain't doing this whole American reggae shit anymore because of the venues and the pay. It was just like you were saying. We were spending more money to go play American reggae, and we were making like $100. The whole band, $200 at max.
Yeah.
And these are, playing with these headlining bands and stuff. And I'm like, man, these bands aren't even that good.
All right, Rob. So Couch Sessions is coming up. The idea behind Couch Sessions, which is kind of cool because you're so into art, is the pairing of a musician or musicians and artists, right? It's the mixture of music and art that comes together. A lot of the time spent in Couch Sessions isn't the musician playing or the artist painting, it's us talking to you.
Oh,
right?
that's awesome.
So it's the crowd really getting to know you. There's live questions that are asked at real time in the crowd. So they'll be able to write questions down on cue cards and send it to the front and be like whatever's on their mind. So there's a lot of engagement there. What do you have planned, if anything, for the show?
So my plan is to show you all what I feel is a collection of our favorite songs that we perform, and more of a cultural feel of all the rhythms too of the Virgin Islands. And so we're probably gonna do some breakdowns of some sections.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm gonna have like my percussionist and my drummer do something for you guys in tandem.
Okay. So you just made Olivia really excited right now.
Yeah.
Like I can see it on her face. She loves the anatomy of it, and she she always gets them. She always kind of pushes the musician to be like,
Oh yeah.
tell me a little bit about that piece. Can you play it how it was before and then what it is now?
Yep.
And so that'll be really fun.
I'm very obsessed with atmosphere. So I've always wanted to do theatrics. Like me and Teddy, good buddy of mine, Teddy Sykes, actually own some of his work as well. And me and Teddy have been talking for years about doing a theatrical thing. And I'm putting this out in the world right now because I want this to happen.
Teddy, hear that, right, Teddy?
But this is Propaganjah, and I want us to put something together to where it's like a Tim Burton-y style atmosphere.
Okay.
And maybe around this, I'm thinking maybe next year or something. But we have all the artists create everything around, like maybe even interactive things with lights, and I'm talking like wild, imaginative things. So we can do a concert with I'm talking lasers and make it a spectacle. Make it a crazy show where the actual atmosphere. You remember how MTV Unplugged used to do it? They'd have little trees and candles everywhere. I want to do something like that, but with vibrant art, or maybe it couldn't be dark, but something that's like interactive, like almost like a haunted house. But
I love that.
not. You know what I'm saying? Like just a full production.
Yeah. So that sounds awesome, and I really appreciate when artists and musicians get really original with their
the only way.
when they in their whole like just performing it or displaying it or something like that, because it's real easy to kind of do the same over and over again. Like you probably have it down.
Oh,
like,
God.
Load up the equipment, unload the equipment, do the set, go back. But the idea of like really doing something like that is a great way to, I think, to not only one, get people excited about the arts, your art and visual artists, but also just to like create a vibe. That's what I think a community needs. A community needs something like that.
Exactly, and they need to create a vibe that brings people together instead of separates, And I feel like when you get everyone involved, especially artists, for some reason artists have a way of bringing people together. Mm-hmm. And if you combine the two arts that everyone loves, is physical art and sound, audio. And you put those together and you're definitely going to have a 90% turnout of most people,
Oh, yeah.
Because
it's an event.
There's like 10% of people that don't like either, maybe. Maybe 1 out of 10 people are just like, nah, I'm not into either.
And they can go to hell.
Yeah, exactly. They can. But yeah, so it's always been a thing to me to always connect art and music. And I think that's originality. It has to always be original, too, because I could write pop songs all day if I wanted to. I would hate myself. It wouldn't be true to me. It wouldn't feel right, because I feel like writing original stuff. And yeah, it might take me a little longer to write it, but at least I know that I wasn't piggybacking off of somebody else's song and trying to recreate what they did, And that was my thing. Is I was like, I don't want to. I like doing covers and stuff, so that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to original ideas that definitely don't sound original.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody comes up with Unchained Melody again, and they wrote it to the same tune, I'm going to be pissed off. I'm going to be like, well, they just changed the lyrics, and that was it. And so yeah, originality is everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Awesome. Well, Rob, it's been a great conversation with you. I'm even more excited now for Couch Sessions that we've got to know a little bit more about you and kind of what to expect.
Is it because he said he was going to deconstruct some stuff?
I think that's going to be pretty freaking awesome. Tomorrow we're having a conversation with Dave. I don't know if you've met Dave Kellner yet.
Oh, I have not. Or maybe I have. I think I've met him in the past. But,
he's an amazing.
I'm usually stoned a lot.
Yeah.
So.
He is definitely an amazing artist.
And
he's from Long Island too. So
oh, no way.
You guys have that in common.
I'm
it's
going to
got
have a bunch of
family
Guidos.
connection.
Oh my gosh.
What is that?
Man.
What was that?
That was the Jewish Long
Oh,
Island.
Oh my God.
Listen, Olivia is the worst at impressions. She's got like 2 impressions. One that doesn't sound like anybody and the other one that doesn't sound like anybody either.
Oh, don't you know, Bobby? Why don't you go get the cheese?
No.
Wait, is that Long Island?
That's not even close. That's not even close.
That was Wisconsin.
I don't know what that was. Anyway.
Oh, Bobby,
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Anyway, all right. Well, Rob, thank you so much.
Yes,
it's
thank
been a
you.
blast, and
Thank
we will
you.
see you in a few days, right?
Weeks.
Yeah, it's a few weeks.
A few weeks. Anything else you got, Liv?
It's a wrap, baby.
That's a wrap.
The highest speak around.